Good morning, Rabbi Isaiah. Back in town. It's gewaltig to be back. Ruzbas Mordechai. Dear Rebelli, as you may know, New York City is going through incredible COVID outbreak. Below is a picture of me and my son, sick in bed with fever, learning the Daf. Best regards, David Sutton. David Sutton with his 5-year-old learning the Daf in bed. He says about the yarmulke. Now that you mentioned, he says he's 5, Baruch Hashem, but he's a serious 5-year-old. He's very embarrassed that he was either holding or dropping his yarmulke before this picture. So thanks for noticing. I didn't want to bring it up, but you had to mention it. Okay. This is Michael Farkovich. Is that Avraham Meir? I don't know. I can't see the face. Maybe it looks a shtickle. In Meridian. Does anybody know if Avraham Meir works in Meridian? I guess. There's a very long one. I like this a lot. Oh, good morning. I'm an admirer from afar, not this one. Also, an acquaintance from your past, Mir Yeshiva, 1992 to 98, friend of Shol Parush, Avi Glenner. I want to give a shout out. I don't remember him. I feel bad. I need a picture. I wanted to give a shout out to Yonatan Tess of Lakewood and his recent season of Masechtas Titans. He started this himself with the Daf cycle and became an essential part of his daily structure. It is truly geschmack to learn the Daf. It changes your whole day and you as a person. The energy, passion, enthusiasm. Avi Glenner. Yeah, it was very interesting. This one I need to read every word. I don't know why they give me these shvachim. It's not for me because I get it every day. It's to get the olam mad. That's what it is. Rebelli, to start off, simply thank you. To say that you've given me a kick would be an understatement. You've really sold me on the idea of Daf Yomi. Until a couple of weeks ago, I was living with the classic yeshiva guy mentality regarding the Daf. Although during my time in yeshiva, I was not the best learner, top guy by any stretch, I couldn't shake that nasty feeling about it, meaning the Daf Yomi. Then I saw your ad on Yeshiva World News and started thinking about, maybe that's not a bad idea. Your passion shines through in the pictures. I gave it a shot on the first day of Megillah, and I'm not looking back, at least not in Hashkafa. Being able to share a Daf with thousands of other humans is one part. And don't get me wrong, it's amazing. But the reality is seeing all of Shas is a gift. It's the commitment that I want to be exposed to Hashem's Torah, the whole thing, every aspect of it. And more than that, I can do it. I can see it, and even more, I can see it, I can know it. You send the message loud and clear. It's our Torah. The message is penetrating my young married home, and it really makes a difference. Psh, love this email. I mentioned that I'm doing the daf to a couple of Rabbeim who have raised their eyebrows with concern. A couple of weeks ago, that would have bothered me, but it doesn't anymore. I know what you are doing. I know what you are doing this for, and it doesn't get more real. Rebelli, you want Klal Yisrael to love Torah, to love it like you do. Your mission is emes, shkoya. Beyond the shir and daf, I was inspired by you as a person. Okay, here he gives me a lot of shvachim. Bal tshuva, to be a role model. You never left or needed to find your way back, but you weren't okay with the status quo. As it wasn't, you understand that Hashem gave us life and take advantage of it means striving for more outside of the material. I know Lincolnwood. I know how easy it is to get complacent there. The fact that you were where you are is such a source of chizik for me. I'm a yeshiva guy at heart, but being outside of yeshiva impacts a person. Seeing a love for Torah, Yidden, and Hashem drives to stand out of the crowd is a real deal. Thank you, Rebelli. Your message is strong, clear, and powerful. Wishing you hatzlacha with everything you do and sending a big thank you from Toronto. A yeshiva guy at heart. More? Yeah, why not? I want to discuss Avi Gargir. He's a loudmouth guy in the back, and I hear him every day. He's an amazing guy. He used to be a cop in Brooklyn, and for this, I am gratefully... I'm in the Bronx. I'd like to remain anonymous, it says there. After seeing the words, finish the Masechta in a month, posting an album set in WhatsApp, I'll try to find more time in the Masechta and manage to carve out time for the Daf. I'm sure by now you realize there are quite a few Lubavitcher Yingalite who listen to your daily Daf. It's a great way to add extra Gemara shir of the day. And then he brings here a word from the Rebbe. I didn't look into it deeply, but I like the idea that each one, Binyamin cried on Yosef's shoulder and Yosef cried on Binyamin for the churban that's going to happen in the other chelik, not in their own chelik, in the other. It's a very good point to bring out. And he says, Mashiach now. Yeah, okay. Rabbi Isai, here we go. It's unbelievable to be back. It was great vacation. A few people asked me, so why didn't you go scuba diving? I mean, why? I love scuba diving. Love it. I used to go literally once a week, drive 4 hours to Eilat, drive 4 hours back the same day, sugar. And I was there. And I could taste it. But somebody has to prepare a share. This is Koilel Achoidish, sponsored by Chaim. By the way, Mazel Tov to Eli Delinsky. And all his brothers are here. The Chassan's brothers. His son became a Chassan. Yehusha, Arya, Leyb, הכהן, ben Yonas, and Chayim, zechus levracha. In honor of all the people taking it upon themselves to bet themselves, not to watch movies, etc. for Shovim. So Eli from Borough Park will match the next $6,000 donated to the Gemara campaign at MDYsponsor.com. Rabbi Isai, we have to start talking about it a little bit because the new Masechet is coming up. So if you don't know yet, if you convince somebody to come to this year, that person gets a brand new Gemara art scroll of Masifta, Hebrew or English, that is an art scroll, with the special logo on the front. Unbelievable. And you yourself, if you're part of this year, you bring somebody, you get a free Gemara. We only gave out 2,500 Gemaras last Masechta. It's tremendous. So we're striving for the same. I am going to take care of Be'ezer Hashem 600 Gemaras myself. And I won't take a Gemara for myself. I'm going to go to the yeshivas. Yeshiva guys, another 50 guys. Be'ezer Hashem, can't wait. We'll do a little tour. Maseches Megillah, the Davis and Kessler families in zechus for Refuah shleima for Miriam Esther Devora. Maseches Megillah, Shmuly, Hecht, F245. Miriam Esther ben Avraham Moshe Peretz Neri Yair. Paras HaChodesh, in honor of RL97 Akiva Tepper from Judas Imitir Rebelli's Daf. Paras HaChodesh, the Nil Tzir Koy, zechus for Refuah shleima for Gavrim Yom ben Tzir Fruma. Avrumi and Sprincy Gross, in honor of the 23rd wedding anniversary of Riva and Daniel Terabello. Elana Price, happy birthday to my brother, Rabbi Daniel Price. You hear this? A sister knows where to get her brother a good gift. All right. We won't read that one. Okay, today is Daf Chai. And we are holding the last words on the Amud. Vikivin Shivnivnes, we're holding in middle of Shemon Esrei. New improved, with color. Where are we holding? We're holding by Yerushalayim. After Yerushalayim, Ba David. Number 15 in the list is David. Semach David, Shenemar. Top of Yud Ches Amud Aleph. Achar Yeshuvu B'nei Yisrael, Bikshus Hashem Elokehem, Ve'eis David Malcolm. After they come back. And after they come back, they are going to build a base. Bring David. Vikivin Shabbat David. Basot Tefillah. Now once you have David HaMelech, you have Tefillah. Shenemar. Avioisi Melar Kochi Vesimati Veis Tfilosi Ayavi. It's the next pasuk. It was a beautiful thing. I just wanted to save the high part for the next Gemara. But okay, it's great. We can do it again. You don't have this on vacation. I was talking to myself. I said like a little joke over there, and a guy met me yesterday at the Chassan. He goes, "Oh, that was give up." I was talking on the phone, and nobody laughed. So okay, fine. Now that you see that l'chayra, they're going to come to Eretz Yisrael, build a base of Midos. They're going to have a king, and then afterwards, after David HaMelech, then we're going to have. No, where are we holding? Basat Tefillah. We're talking about Tefillah now. Shkoyach, the whole song. After David is Tefillah. And you're going to have David. And then you're going to have Tefillah in the Beis Hamikdash. V'kivin shebas tefillah, bas avoida. Once you have tefillah, you also have the korbanos, the avoida shenemar. You are fired. Wow, that's why you need to stick to. Everybody has their job. Everybody has a tafkid in life, and you have to know what your tafkid is. This is the 7th time that you failed. Stick to your numbers, Rabbi. Stick to your numbers. Is this the last time, though, David? Okay, Baruch Hashem. Wow. Okay, this is how it goes. You ready? Lo yiseh v'ziv shechted him. Some people, that's what it takes. All right. We have a long daf. Rabbi side. All right, you're meichel me for shechting you in public? Great, thank you. I brought you an aliyah. But it was l'tzorech gadol ma'od. Certain people need to be shechted in public, otherwise they're whatever. Fine. After you have tefillah, what comes right afterwards in the song? Comes avodah. What comes after avodah? The 18th bracha Shmuly Esrei is Haidah. A lot of people's favorite to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank for everything we have. Shenemar Zoiveach Toida, and this comes after Avodah. Yichabdunani, you will be mechabed me after your Zoiveach. First you do a shchita, and then you mechabed me. Umaro loymar birkus kohanim achar eidos. I stuck in here today. It's not a bracha from the silent Shmuly Esrei, but we do birkus kohanim between 18 and 19 after Eidah, before Sim Shalom. Why? So, birkus kohanim. So you have to understand, it's a tricky pasuk. When did the chatas and oila happen? Before Aaron did duchening or after? So if you know Hebrew, it's kind of a simple answer. So Gemara says, maybe the chatas, the nesias kapayim is before the avodah. He already did it. He already performed the chatos. Miksiv la'asois, to do. He already did. Says the Gemara, v'leimra achar ha'avodah. Why is birkus kohanim right over here by Hoidah? After Hoidah, it should be between 17 and 18. After it says, Vayer chatos, after chatos comes what? Birkus kohanim. What's chatos? Number 17, Avodah, not number 18. Lo yisol gedaitach. So we have one pasuk that tells us that birkus kohanim should be right after 17, right after Avodah. We also have the pasuk lo yisol gedaitach, the zoiveach toida yichabdanani. So this pasuk tells us, no, you should give praise immediately after. So comes birkus kohanim and then Hoidah. Says the Gemara, so we have two psukim that contradict each other. On the one hand, it should be after 17. On the one hand, it should be after 18. Why do you pick 18? It's because Avodah and Hoidah are one thing. Says Rashi, that when you thank Hashem, that's a type of Avodah. You sit there, you're davening Hashem. Instead of bringing a carbon, we daven today. It's one and the same. Tefillah is a type of Avodah. I mean, a Torah avodah gemilas chasadim. That's what avodah is today, right? Tefillah. Says Gemara, now, the fact is, we're kind of stuck. If you have to put some shalom somewhere, it has to come at 19. We're already at the end. So where else should it go? It can't go anywhere here because we explain each and every one why they're in a certain order. Fine, but nevertheless, we have a good reason. So you have to see this chart for a second. This just shows you birkus kohanim, the final pasuk of birkus kohanim. Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasim l'chashalim. What's the pasuk right afterwards? Oh, v'samu shmi al b'nei Yisrael v'ani avarchem. After you have birkus kohanim, you're going to have a bracha from Hashem. What is the bracha from Hashem? What is Hashem like in his brachas? Peace. Sim shalom. I just want to show that that's the order. And then immediately afterwards, this pasuk that the Gemara brings, you see it all over. Shalom, shalom, shalom. That's Hashem's bracha to Klal Yisrael. There should be peace. So yesterday we said, who decided the whole Shmoneh Esrei, the whole order and everything? 120 elders, and in between them, think about it, we had Nevi'im, not Stam G'dolim. Nevi'im, what they say is literally a nevuah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They knew exactly how to misader it. Tiknu Tefillah say there, Shimon HaPekoili, Mai is there. So where does Shimon HaPekoili? Yesterday we said, Shimon HaPekoili said, it goes like this and like this. Says the Gemara, Shcheichom, V'chazav Esidrum. Klal Yisrael forgot. Now, how do you forget Shmoneh Esrei? Every kid in Cheder knows Shmoneh Esrei Bal Peh. So the Ben Yehoyada says on the spot, they didn't forget Shmoneh Esrei. They forgot why it's in a certain order. They forgot, we don't know. Like right now, today, I'll ask you, why is Ashivay not yesterday I learned. That's something you can forget. So that's what he was Mesader. Rabbi Isai, where else do we have these words? In this Masechta. We forgot it, and who? Woo! Levi with the Zechus program. Menatzbach. Where's Menatzbach? Remember? Menatzbach. We forgot if the Langenon and the Endenon and the this is before or after. What else? Levi, what else? Zechus does a couple nekudas from the daf. What else? Nu Leibi? What? Says Leibi because he does our program together with Zechus. No, he doesn't. Whatever. Leibi says Targum. Very good, Leibi. Targum. Targum, it wasn't Unkelus, but Unkelus, he brought it back. It's the same daf. You're right. Daf Gimel. Correct. Same daf. Says the Gemara, you cannot add anything to the Shmoneh Esrei and start saying, Hashem, you are wonderful. You can't add your own words. Domer Belazar and Ma'idich Siv, mi Malik Vurs Hashem, Yashmiya Kolti Lasoi. All of his prayer. Mi Noah Malik Vurs Hashem, Lemish Yachal Hashmiya Kolti Lasoi. Says Rashi, you can't add a permanent shvach in the Shmoneh Esrei. Can't add a word. It's not your Shmoneh Esrei to add words. You could add your own stuff. You can add your own bakasha, your own thing, but you can't add a shvach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hakel, Hagadol, Hagibar, Vanoira. We have certain things that we could say, but that's it. Because it goes, there's ain't soif, shvachim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. By you adding, you're just making it less. If a person says too much, nekar min ha'olam, unbelievable. Shenemar, he's super like Yadav, he gets uprooted from the world. Im Omar Ish Kiyavula, he'll be swallowed up. Dosh Review the Ish Kvar Gibaraya, Varmelo Ish Kvar Gibar Chayil, Maidachsiv. L'cho Dumiyos Ihila. Dumiya is a lotion of silence. For HaKadosh Baruch Hu, silence is the best. Just be quiet, don't say anything. That's the way to be Mishabechem. Says the Gemara, the famous line. Samo de koila mashtoika. Oh, sorry. Samo de koila mashtoika. The poison, the antidote, what works best here for everybody is mashtoika, is to be quiet. Here's the line. Mila besela. If you're going to pay one sela for a word, mashtuka betrain. Silence has double the value of words. The famous line in English, I will read it. Better to remain silent and be thought of as a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. Huh? Silence is gold. But what do we do about Yodel Hashem Chazdoi and all these psukim that say you should Mishabech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mishabech HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Huh? Shvach? Unu, Rabbi say, I have a kasha. Are you allowed to Mishabech? You allowed to Mishabech? Yodel Hashem Chazdoi. That's in the Agadah. But anyway, I think the pshat is that you guys are thinking about your song. He used to learn in a yeshiva, but he's not this, so you're not going to sing it here. But Avi, what's the answer to my kasha? First of all, what is my kasha, Avi?
I'm still thinking about Simon Garfunkel.
That's what I said. You're too busy. So no, let me repeat for you only. Avi Gargir, what was the kasha? Tell him the kasha. You don't know. The kasha is, it says in all these psukim that you should be Mishabech HaKadosh Baruch Hu over and over and over. So why does it say over here you can't? So the answer, l'chayr, is there's two types of Mishabech. If you're going to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you for this nace that you did for me. Thank you for the shidduch that you just gave my son last night. Thank you for this, thank you for that. That's beautiful. But if you're going to be Mishabech HaKadosh Baruch Hu about him, about not a private thing, not a personal thing, about Stam in general, that's too much. You were already saying Shemona Esrei, adding to that is not okay. If you say the Megillah by heart, no good. Omar Rava, Asi zechira, we learn from Amalek. Ksiv by the Megillah it says Vayom Ma'ilin Iskarim. It says the word zechira. Uksiv Asam Ksiv Zayis Iskarim by Sefer by Amalek. Malalam by Sefer, Afkan by Sefer. Just like by Amalek, it's in a Sefer Torah. So the Megillah has to be written down. But by Amalek, who says you read it? Maybe you just look at it. It can't be. Zachar, Yachabalev, Shoimer, Loy Sishkach. It says two things. Schira and don't forget. Harei Shichas Halev Amor. So by the words, Loy Tishkach, we know, don't forget. In other words, look at it. From here we learn the halacha, and a lot of women are makbid on it. It's a mitzvah deraisa to hear Zchiras Amalek. Because Loy Tishkach is in the heart. Zachar is with your mouth. You have to hear it. Kro Targum Lo Yotza. Says in the Mishnah that if you read the Megillah in Aramaic, the Targum Unkelos, you're not Yotza. Somebody asked me, Donnie was asking me the other day. He doesn't understand Targum so well. But so what's the point of saying Targum? So now we learned in this Masechta. Targum comes, it's halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So it has a special power. Like we'll see soon in Lashon Kodesh. People don't understand Lashon Kodesh. And they hear the Megillah, the Yotza, because it has power. Just the words, without understanding, do something. So Targum also has some power more than English. But if you say it in Targum, you're not Yotza. Hechidami. If he reads it, look, he's reading the Lashon Kodesh, he's reading the Hebrew, and he's translating it in Aramaic. So he's not reading it, he's saying something by heart. Because the words that he's reading are not the words that he's saying. The Gemara just wants to get to the final point. The whole Megillah is written in Aramaic, and he's reading straight in at the klaf in Aramaic, and he's not Yotza. But then the second later, the Mishnah says that if a guy understands only English, you could read him a Megillah in English. But you said that you can't read it in every language. Rabbi Shmuly, Belaz, what does Laz mean? Yivani doesn't mean English, it means Yivani, Greek. And that we said in the Mishnah, in the beginning of the Sechta, Greek has a special koyach. It's only Greek. Hechidami, but what's the case? If it's written in Lashon Kodesh and he translates it into Greek that we had a second ago, Hainu al Peh, that's considered by heart. So look at the answer. Who says the answer? Remember the name. Omer Bach, Omer Belazar. Sheksuva Belaz Yavonis. No. So again, we have to come to the conclusion that the whole Megillah is written in Greek. And Memela, he read it in Greek. And like we said then, we'll say it again now, there is no Greek today. We don't know what Greek is. So Memela, don't even try to buy or read a Megillah in Greek. But as a lot of Agadatas go, once we mention a name, Ravacha, Omer Belazar, so here it goes again. Omer Ravacha, Omer Belazar. This has nothing to do with anything, just it's his name. The only thing that has connection down with Masechta is his name, so we'll continue with it. How do you know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu called Yaakov Avinu El? Not Yaakov Avinu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shenemar v'yikra Eloi El. Here, look, here's the pasuk. So it's an interesting way of reading it. He says like this, V'yatziv sham mizbeach. You have to understand what happened there. The first words is that Yaakov Avinu built a mizbeach. Vayikra Eloi should be going on Yaakov Avinu l'chayr. Says the Gemara, no. Vayikra Eloi El, he called the mizbeach El. Who? Elikei Yisrael. Hashem called the mizbeach El. It goes this way. Vayikra Yisrael Kel mizbeach. Like that. Not Yaakov Avinu called it Kel Elikei Yisrael. Otherwise, where does Elikei Yisrael fit into the pasuk? Vayikra Eloi El, Elikei Yisrael. This mizbeach korele Yaakov El. If Yaakov Avinu called the mizbeach, Vayikra Eloi to the mizbeach, the name of the mizbeach. I have a mizbeach hazav and I have a mizbeach of this, and I have a mizbeach El. Umikore El, Elikei Yisrael. This mizbeach korele Yaakov El. Vayikra Yaakov mibarlei. So over here it should say Vayikra Yaakov to explain, so we shouldn't have any problems in the pasuk. Yaakov Avinu called it. El Vayikra Loi Yaakov El. HaKadosh Baruch Hu called not the Mizbeach. Yaakov, HaKadosh Baruch Hu called Yaakov Avinu El. Umikar El Elokei Yisrael. Here. So Vayikra Loi El. HaKadosh Baruch Hu called him Yaakov Avinu, who built the Mizbeach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu called him El. Who? Elokei Yisrael. Meisvei. Okay, now we're going back. Kura Giptus. Giptus is an Egyptian dialect. It's a language. Ivris. You see from here, Ivris is not what we call Ivrit. Ivris is Ever Nar. It's a different language. Ilmis, Modis, Yevanis. Oh, this is the problem. Big problem. It says that if you read it in Yevanis, in Greek, Lo Yatza. Second ago we said, you are Yaitza for Yevanis. Says Gemara, Le Dami Elaha. So, there's halacha. If you're reading the Megillah to somebody that only understands Giptus, the Giptim, a person that understands only Giptim, so you read it the whole Megillah in Giptus. Ivris leivrim, ilmis leivrim, Yevanis leiva, Yatza. It's talking about that's now the Gemara introduces a new thing. If that's the only thing he understands, so you read it to him in Greek. That's what's going on here. So then why is Greek special? Before we said, the whole mission is talking about Greek. Greek has special powers like Lashon Kodesh. No, English is also the same thing. You have a guy, you have a Russian, doesn't understand a word of Hebrew. He just came off the boat, never went to Cheder in his life, so you got to read him the Megillah in Russian. So it has nothing to do with Greek. The what? So, fine. In general, Baal Itmar. You're right. A Greek guy, Greek. Russian. But they add that if you read Greek to a Russian, he'll be Yaitza. No? But we say halacha that if Greek doesn't work for Russians, Greek only works for Greeks. Says the Gemara, if you remember the Mishnah, we had a machlokes in the Mishnah. They hold like Reb Shimon Gamliel, it's not, it says in the Mishnah. The only other language you can write nach is in Greek. If they in fact hold like Reb Shimon Gamliel that Yevanis is special, then they should just say that halach like Reb Shimon Gamliel. If I say that halach like Reb Shimon Gamliel, he said it only by other svarim. So what's going on here? Bottom line is like this. According to Reb Shimon Gamliel, Yevanis and Lashon Kodesh go in all languages. But Megillah, according to Reb Shimon Gamliel, is different. It's whatever you understand. So according to Reb Shimon Gamliel, I could write Shmuel Aleph, Shmuel Beis only in Greek and only in Lashon Kodesh, not in English. But when it comes to Megillah, since I need to understand, because it says Mefurish in the Megillah, you should understand. You could write it in Russian and in English. Chachamim say exact opposite. That what? They say that Megillah is only in Lashon Kodesh. Other Svarim you can write in English. But Megillah only in Lashon Kodesh. Whatever the Lashon is over there. They have a pasuk. Says the Gemara, Ava Megillah d'chsiv ba kichsavam eim aloi kamash malon. So that's why they had to say Mefurish. They can't say, that looks like Megillah. We wanted to say that in Megillah, kichsavam eim aloi kamash malon. Says the Gemara, aloi is sheshama ashurus yatsa. If you speak only Russian or English and you hear it in your language, and you hear it in Lashon Kodesh, you read it, he goes to shul like everybody else. But he doesn't understand the word. There's a lot of people like that, right? Even if you went to Cheder and you went to yeshiva and you're American, a lot of words don't come. It doesn't come natural. You hear the guy's flying through the whole Megillah. There's a psukim. You're going to miss a pasuk here and there for sure. Yaitzer, not yaitzer? Yes. But he doesn't understand. So the Gemara, if you're a Ritz, or a woman didn't go to school in those days, doesn't understand Hebrew, yaitzer. He doesn't understand the whole problem to begin with. Everybody has that problem. There are at least 2 words in the Megillah nobody understands. They understood it back then. We don't know what it means. Now, the Rishonim that say that Achsharana means a type of very fast animal, like a camel that moves very quickly, fine. But we don't know what it is. Ela mitzvahs kriya or persuminisa. So the point is to go to shul, listen to the Megillah, even though you don't understand the word. Achinami, mitzvahs kriya persuminisa. You're going to come after the Megillah and ask people what happened, what's the story, and by that you'll be mefarsim the nays. Cross yirugan yotza. So if you read it and you stop and you go and you stop and go, you yoytza. We had the sugya in Rosh Hashana, word for word. Actually, over there was a little bit more lengthy. Rabbanon didn't know what the word means, the translation. So Shamul Hamsa the Rebbe, the Karmel Rabbanon, they heard the servant of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi Nasi, Rashi says Rabbeinu HaKadosh again to emphasize his Gedusha. He never put his hands below his waist. Kadosh. Karmel Rabbanon, the Eli Stefansky Rebbe, they were walking in 2 at a time, or a few at a time, and she yelled at them. What's going on here? In other words, a little bit at a time. So it says, very interesting, in the Yerushalmi it says, the Talmidim Rebbe had a whole list of words. They didn't know what chagloiglois means, they didn't know what this means, they didn't know it. So they went to ask Rebbe. And so happened to be that in that one trip that they went, she yelled about the sirugin, she yelled about this chagloiglois, she yelled about 4 or 5 things. He had this in his pockets. Purslane. Fine. So they chop right away. And then it continued the story. They didn't know what salsalah means. He was twisting around his hair, his payas, I don't know what he's doing. What are you doing? Why are you making your chup? So it's a lashon of search and rescue. To look, says Rashi, to dive deep into it, to search for it. I remember when we were learning, I was saying about Meir Koenig, this is his favorite pasuk. Hashleich al Hashem yavcha. Let Hashem deal with your problems, with your things. I was carrying heavy weight. Put it in my trunk. What do you have to schlep it? So I see from here, Yavcha means a burden. Let Hashem take care of the problems. Don't try to help Hashem. He knows what he's doing. What is v'tetesiyah? So if you live in Israel, you know what a matateh is. Take the broom, sweep up the thing. In other words, even if you're Talmid Chacham and your porcelain falls on the floor, grab a broom, help clean up a little bit. The bay, Tanarabban. Cross Sirugin Yotza. If you read it a little at a time, Yotza. Serusin lo Yotza. If it's out of order, it's Masuras, not Yotza. Sponsored by Aaron Stroock and honor of his parents, Josh Naomi Stroock and zechus Nishmas, Aaron and Shimon HaKohen, sponsored in honor of Eli for all that he does. Rabbi Muna, Oimer Mishum Rabbi Yehuda, Af Besirugin, Imshah, Kedei Ligimur Skula, Chayzel Roish. How long does it take to read a Megillah? Like 40 minutes? 45 minutes. So if you wait 45 minutes, then you must repeat the entire Megillah. You did halfway, you got a stomach ache, you stop, you pause for 45 minutes, start from the beginning. That's in fact the halacha, says the Gemara for now. What does it mean? So let's say he's halfway through, does he start from the halfway point and go to the end? Does he have to start from the beginning? We don't want to make each guy start from a different place. And everybody start from the beginning. Barabo Omarav. Remember Barabo Omarav in the name of Rav. Halacha Kerebi Muna. Now what? That if you wait, start from the beginning. Doesn't matter how long you wait. 4-hour pause. Continue weiter from where you are. They said it was the name of Rav, Barabba in the name of Rav. It wasn't Barabba Omer Rav, it was Rav Kahana Omer Rav. Same thing. Halach Yerimuna. Shmuel says no. Okay, it's one of these Gemaras. You don't have to remember every word here. He says halach Yerimuna, he says halach not Yerimuna. He heard it like this, he heard it like that. Rabbi Masnis Ifcha and Rabbi says it the opposite. Rav Omar, ain't halach Yerimuna. Shmuel Omar halach Yerimuna. Fakert. Shmuel is the one that says that you do have to repeat the Megillah if you waited 45 minutes or whatever. I can prove that it's Rabibi's right, that Shmuel is the one that says you have to repeat. Why? The Shmuel of the Chai Shlichida. I'm going to bring you now into a sugya of Yavamas, because Yavamas is coming up, Rabbi Isai, and the Olam is nervous. Don't be nervous. It's going to be like Erevin, these Masech and Shas, only because we had 700 pictures. I'm not making this up. Eli Dyken says all the time, Erevin was my favorite Masech, and then a bunch of people said it. I'm going to go, I did my first chart here on Yavamas, coming after the trip, 4-hour this and that. I was not 100% in my right mind, but this is my first try. We'll do it. When it comes to Yavamas, we'll have dolls. I don't know. We're going to make a shmak. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. We're going to have different color ones. Here goes. Rabbi Isai, here's our first chart in Yavamas. We have 2 sisters. How can you tell that they're sisters? Because they're wearing a dress. These are 3 guys. They're brothers. These 2, the Reds, were married to each other. You know what happened to this guy? Bye-bye. It went to Olam Emes. How do you know? Because it has an X. Now, I couldn't put a red X. I tried the red X. It didn't look good on the red guy. So we might have to change the colors around. Maybe we could do blue and red X. Fine. First try. Running out of time. So he dies. What happens when he dies? One of his 2 brothers has to be miyabim her. Now, they have to get married to her or chalitza. There's a concept, I'm going to learn it very, very extensively, called zika. As soon as the brother dies, she becomes sort of attached to one of the brothers. Now, if there's only one brother, the zika, she becomes 100% attached and the brother can't do anything. He can't marry this other sister. You cannot marry 2 sisters, right? These are tsaras. Now, if not tsaras, achai or whatever. Yeah, sisters, sorry. If this guy marries her, is miyabim her, then this guy can marry the sister. There's no problem. Because she is not his yavama. She is his yavama. These guys are attached. But before anybody does anything, what halacha does this sister have on the 2 brothers? That's the question. Is there zika or no zika, since it's 2? If there's one, then she's 100% attached to one. If there's no, these guys don't exist, she's attached to them. But since it's 2, do you do a half a zika this and half a zika that? So that's machlokes. We don't know if there's zika. There's no zika now. There's 2 brothers. There's 2 brothers. So what happened is, brother number 3 decided to get engaged to her. Is it allowed or not allowed? Does it work or not work? Is there enough power from the red one to cancel everything out? Maybe they're kind of married a little bit. Each brother in a little bit. That's machlokes. And Shmuel picked the yachid. So you see, Shmuel goes with the yachid. That's it. Was that a bad start to Yavamas? They're having a hard time. Why not? Oh, yeah, if you don't have a chart. Yavamas, you're going to have to watch a video. All right, sorry. So where are we? Shemeres Yavam. She's waiting for something to happen from one of these 2 brothers. Either one. Now, maybe the older one should do it first, but they're both equal. So he went around, Mr. 3 went and got engaged to the sister. You're not allowed to marry her. There's a little bit of zika going on here. And you have to wait until he takes care of the problem. The other brother is going to marry Bimiyabim, the woman in red. Then it's going to become his wife. Then, of course, zika expires from everybody. The other brother can marry her sister. So, Amar Shmuel, comes Shmuel, and says, Halacha, Kireb Yudim Seira, like the Yachid. So now our sugi also makes sense, says Gemara, that Shmuel passing like the Yachid. Torah Rabbanan. Hishmeba Sofer Oisi Psukin. If the Sofer left out a word or something or a pasuk, Ukrana Kaire Kimiturim Hamatargim, and the reader just read it. Yatza Meisvei. How could it be Yatza? The letters were washed out or ripped. Im Rishum Nikar. If you could see where they were, Ksherov Im Lav Psula. So certainly, if the whole pasuk is missing, it should be puzzle. Says Gemara like Ashi, if most of the Megillah, 51%, is missing, then it's puzzle. If just a pasuk or two, then you can just read it. The Megillah has to be in order, and you have to read every single word. So you can't say, "Let me finish the Megillah. I'll go home, find another Megillah, I'll find the Chumash, and I'll read it from there." It's going to be out of order. No good. He has to go from that pasuk that he missed. That happens all the time. You walk in the shul late, and oops, you missed the first part of the Megillah, first parak. What do? I'll listen to 3/4, and I'll listen to the first parak later. No, could do. Why? It has to be in order. You have to read it from beginning to end in order. We have the sugi so many times in Shas. To me, it seems so many times. What does it mean to doze off? I remember Dr. Epstein gave us a good example last time we learned it. Yeah, you were sleeping, so you have no idea. No, I'm just kidding. He's sleeping, not sleeping. It's my special day today. Shtaching this guy, that guy. The car levani. But they had, and I remember saying then that I owned a sleep lab and I had to learn about sleep. And everybody, when they're sleeping, is really up. The ears are working at 100%. So if they call your name, your brain says, "Oh, that's the noise you want to listen to. Wake up." But he's sleeping in a way that if you ask him something, "Where did you leave the keys?" He has no idea. But did you leave it in the drawer? Yeah. Okay, that he could do. Sorry. So 3 things says the Mishnah. Kaisva, he's writing Megillah. Darsha, he's giving a drasha in public. He's reading from the Megillah, and he wants to be yaitz to the whole Megillah. What a drasha! It takes 45 minutes to read the whole Megillah, and he's also darshaning. So this is like a 6-hour drasha. He says the whole Megillah. Umagia, and he's a cipher that fixes it up. In Kivin Liba Yatz, he said, "Hey Chidami, if he's saying the psukim as he's writing, is a cipher. Vayihi, and he says the words. Okay, Vayihi, and he writes it down. So he said all the words, and then he wrote it down. But he said Vayihi before anything was written down. So it's balpeh, no go. What happened was he wrote then to make sure that he wrote it well, he says to himself, and he's doing this as a cipher, and if he had kavanah to be yaitza, he's yatza. But how could it be yaitza? He sent the name of Rav. You have to say the whole Megillah from Vayihi b'mei all the way to the end. But when he wrote the pasuk, okay, there's machlokes. We're going to see it tomorrow on Amud Aleph. Where does the Megillah start from? Could you read from Ish Yehudi and skip the first part, or do you have to read the whole thing? Regardless of what you hold, it has to be written and then you say it. You can't write one pasuk, say it, write another pasuk and say it, because when you read the first pasuk, you don't have a whole Megillah. You're reading one pasuk. That Megillah is a Megillah. A beautiful Maisa. I got to tell you this Maisa. I like this Maisa a lot. There was a family that accepted upon themselves to read Birkas Hamazon out of a bencher. Only out of a bencher. So this family went to Eilat, not Eilat. They went up a trip somewhere, and a few hours away, they went to the Alps, and they're in the Alps, they're eating the sandwiches and everything. Everything's shmak, mamish, the scenery. And then, oops, we don't have a bencher. Not the bench they can't bench. They were makal themselves from a bencher. What do? The smartphone. People that have such kabbalas don't have smartphones. Anyway, so they took out a piece of paper, they took the sandwich bag, and they wrote down the entire benching from beginning to end, and then they read it. Beautiful, beautiful. The printer in the Alps, yeah, sure. Oh, it did not happen. Trust me, it did not happen with me. I love Vai. No, but seriously, it did not happen with me. I really think when I heard the story, I was thinking to myself, Sometimes a certain Maisa defines who you are. A guy goes out of his way to such an extreme, that's a guy like he's kind of Lama. Like, Rebbe says, look at this guy. Yeah, he didn't learn all Shas. He wrote down Birkas Hamazon and he took 10 minutes, 15 minutes to write it all down so they could be Mekayim his nights. I love that thing. And the chinuch. Think about the chinuch in front of the kids to show we are not going to bench. We have to we'll figure it out. Zog the Gemara was not me, Alavai was me. He wrote the entire thing down and then he read it. We said already this. Ella, the Mancha Megillah Kamei, he had a Megillah right in front of him. And he read every pasuk as a cipher does because of law. So the story was there was a Megillah in front of him and he wrote it down. Could this be approved? The Gemara says it's not going to be approved, but could this be approved? Also, shleima. You see, look, the guy had a Megillah in front of him, and he's imitating what it says in the Megillah. So you see that you have to write it from a Megillah. No, it just so happened to be in this case. That's not exactly what happened. Should we stop here, even though it's okay? We'll stop here. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. It's great to be back.